The 9 personalities of humanity. Let's talk about that. To help create characters, you can study the 9 different personalities, and that'll give you an idea of what triggers them, what they value, their natural default behavior, and it's astonishing. When you study the 9 personalities, you're like, I know a guy like that, I know a guy like that, and you can't think of anybody outside one of those character descriptions. It's pretty interesting. You may not know this, but my bachelor's degree is actually in family counseling. By the time I was 30, I'd read every book that had a reputation. But when I discovered the 9 personalities from the Enneagram test, it really opened my eyes to understanding people. According to Enneagram, here's the 9 personalities: the reformer, the helper, the achiever, the individualist, the investigator, the loyalist, the enthusiast, the challenger, and the peacemaker. Of course, there are bullet points under each of those titles that explains what that term means. And I don't want to waste your time in the video. You can actually go research that on your own. And in the homework assignment that we have at the end of each chapter of this series, I've listed these out for you to help. Now, I put it in my own words, with my own little explanations, and I condense things just because I didn't want to get in trouble with any kind of copyright, but I am giving them credit. If you want to do an in-depth study and really understand that, then you need to consult the Enneagram. We talked about character, now let's talk about plot. This list that I'm about to give you was created by an Italian playwright in the 1700s. His last name was Gozzi, or Gozzi, Gozzi. Now, since the 1700s, the meaning of the words have changed a little bit, so I've went in and I've tweaked them a little bit. These aren't actually questions, it's concepts for you to think about that will formulate the questions, okay? Supplication, asking or begging for help, whether from people or God. The Count of Monte Cristo is very much a supplication story. Deliverance, saving the self or another person through physical, emotional, or mental means. Crime pursued by vengeance. A transgression has happened and it's time to put them in their place. Vengeance taken for kindred upon kindred. In other words, family or close friends fighting. For example, the dad abuses the mom and the children must take action. The pursuit of someone or something, which is probably most stories. Disaster, something very serious or very funny. A natural disaster or an explosion, or a child has a meltdown because his ice cream melted. Falling prey to cruelty or misfortune. A character gets injured or hurt or dies, and this can come from people or fate. That theme is woven throughout the Mission Impossible series. Revolt, this could be a mob, it could be a relationship, it could be mental, or it could be physical. Daring enterprise, a courageous act, whether physical or mental. Abduction, dragged into something against their will or kidnapped or brainwashed. The enigma, navigating decisions inside a riddle. The movie Inception comes to mind, fantastic film by Christopher Nolan. Obtaining, the quest to achieve, whether that's physical or mental, which I would say is most stories also. The rivalry of kinsmen, battling each other no matter how extreme. That would be most war movies. Murderous adultery, cheating in any form that provokes dark behavior. It could be sex or it could be telling on someone. Madness, this can be someone going crazy in a dark, dramatic way, or a farce comedy where everything seems a bit wacky. Fatal imprudence, doing something that one character believes is innocent or just, but it's taken in the opposite way. Involuntary crimes of love, engaging in horrible behavior with loved ones. Is it abuse? Is it incest? Slaying of a kinsman unrecognized, friendly fire in a war story, or shooting a shadow that turns out to be someone known and innocent. Self-sacrifice for an ideal, putting your life on the line for something you believe in. Self-sacrifice for kindred, putting your life on the line for a loved one. That would be Smallville. All sacrificed for a passion, putting your life on the line for a cause even if it's irresponsible. I would say there's elements of that in a lot of the Batman stories. Necessity of sacrificing loved ones, betraying or sacrificing someone for the end game. In Lord of the Rings, Frodo, Trick, and Gollum comes to mind on this one. Rivalry of superior and the inferior. Who's in charge and who can up the other one? Adultery, well, you can run in all sorts of directions with that one. Crimes of love, which is betrayal of a partner. Discovery of dishonor of a loved one. A loved one does something the other considers horrible and it breaks the trust. A lot of crime and thriller stories are like that. Obstacles to love. Any obstacle in a relationship. In The Notebook, Mrs. Hamilton gets in between Noah and Allie. An enemy loved. A character falls in love with the one person that they shouldn't. In the TV series Prison Break, the nurse falls for the main character. Also the movie Eye of the Beholder with Ewan McGregor and Ashley Judd comes to mind on this one. Conflict with a god. If theology isn't your aim, consider the poor farmer against the major corporation trying to take over the land. Mistaken jealousy. When character A believes character B is acting badly, but character B is actually hiding their goodwill. Dad is late for weekend dinners. Mom thinks that he's cheating on her, but really he's delivering pieces to fund his children's college education. Erroneous judgment, which is just bad decisions. Remorse, sorry after bad decisions, or the exact opposite, where the bad or the evil decision is recognized, but then it's legitimized. Recovery of a lost one. Finding one's life again or love again. The prodigal son story comes to mind. You could also think about some of these movies where weather disasters have separated families and the movie is about them striving to get back together. And finally, here's the last one, loss of loved ones. People or opportunities are lost, and it's the journey in grieving and moving on or regaining the person or another opportunity. Or you lose someone and then you meet someone new and you give love a second chance.